A beautiful start today. Good evening. Welcome to the main news at 19:30 on Camnet TV. Let's now look at some of the top stories in our news. MWEMBESHI Resources Limited withdraws a human resource in the lower Zambezi. Chief MUYOMBE of MAFINGA district calls for delimitation of constituencies. KALABA challenges the international community to speak out on alleged injustices. In international headlines, Nigeria's main labor union to go on strike over government's removal of fuel subsidy. And in sports, LUMWANA Radiance, NCHANGA Rangers, BUILDCON and CHAMBISHI Football Club relegated from the MTN Super League. We have the details of these headlines shortly after this message.
Salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come.
You lift one hand and I'll lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. In the name of the Lord Jesus, today God will remove every form of iniquity, every ounce of iniquity that has been around you. Then I said, behold, I have come to do your will, O God, to fulfill what is written of me. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I. Your great and mighty power, the heavens declare. Your great and mighty power, you're greater than the greatest, you're mightier than the mightiest, you're stronger than the strongest, better than the best.
To present the news, my name is Louisia Nalupumbwe, and other news in detail. Chief MUYOMBE of MAFINGA district in Muchinga province says the development will be hard to be attained if further delimitation is not undertaken for some vast constituencies in the country. Speaking at Chief Mwenechimfungwe's palace when United Party for National Development UPND officials paid a courtesy call on both traditional leaders, the MUYOMBE says the limitation to further demarcate vast areas is needed if development is to reach ordinary citizens. Meanwhile, the host Chief Mwenechimfungwe has urged Zambian citizens to take advantage of various opportunities created by the current administration under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, stating that only a culture of hard work will transform the country. Details are in this report.
More traditional leaders have come forward, emphasizing on the need for rural areas not to be left behind on the country's development process. Chief MUYOMBE of MAFINGA district in Muchinga province, who heads the Tumbuka-speaking people, says ensuring that resources are equally shared in vast constituencies in the country continues to be a challenge, hence calling for some areas that are vast to be further delimitated. Chief MUYOMBE was speaking at Chief Mwenechimfungwe's palace, where he was being hosted, along with United Party for National Development UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda and other party officials who are in the province on a working tour. The two chiefs have also stressed the need for the road network in the area to be worked on, stating that this is key to ensuring success in the agriculture and tourism sectors.
Time and again we've looked at delimitation so that development is seen. Development might not be seen because MAFINGA is just too big, but redemarcate MAFINGA. We have another constituency, or even a bomber in MUYOMBE, then another constituency here, then it means we're moving in that direction. These little assistance which is coming in, we can share equally. There will be some development there, there will be some development there. But if it just remains big as it is, you would think as if this council is not doing something good. And yet, It's just too vast.
This government needs hard workers. If you're not a hard worker, that means there will be nothing for you. The cake is there. The money is there. So it's up to the individuals, the cooperatives, the women, the youth. It's up to them. This government is bringing in the things at the right time, and the people are getting the money in good time.
The UPND Secretary General has assured both leaders of quick response to the challenges affecting them.
Like I was articulating much earlier, I alluded to the fact that next year CDF will be at 57 million. Assuming we delimitate MAFINGA into two, then it means MAFINGA gets 57, MUYOMBE gets 57. So that's a colossal sum of money that can bring instant development to this area. Instantly, people will see that something is going on. There's a felt need to have delimitation as a solution to quick development. So that appeal, Your Highness, is very, very important.
Meanwhile, Mafinga Town Council Director of Works Muke Mandona says a number of projects are being undertaken in the area, which include a mortuary, mother's shelter, and an incinerator, among others.
This is a CDF 2022 funded project, costing at 585,000. We are, I would say, up 95% because we are almost complete. We are just dealing with the tiles, with just a few final finishes. The other parts that that comes with the project are the 2 cold storage units, which we've already procured. They are being stored just behind me at the main hospital. So once the completion is done, we'll do the installation and it will be functional. Probably handing over next week.
A newly recruited registered nurse under midwifery Frederick Siamutende has also expressed gratitude for job opportunities created under the current administration.
I'm part of the 11,000 health workers, and I came here last year, that's September, now 8 months. Here in MAFINGA district.
Okay. I'm glad today I'm seeing one of the 11,000.
Sure.
Thank you.
Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
MWEMBESHI Resources Limited says it has stopped all mining activities in the Lower Zambezi National Park, the move directed by the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment. Organization Corporate Affairs Manager Oliver Shalala says the mine has also withdrawn all human capital from the site, leaving only security guards to man the place. Mr. Shalala says the mines has not abrogated any law, but acquiring a mining right to mine in the Lower Zambezi, and says it will comply with all environmental regulation once mining operation commence. He says 46 million metric tons of copper has already been detected at one of the 4 zones, which is worth millions of kwacha once mined. More in this report.
Following the decision taken by the government of the Republic of Zambia to halt all mining activities in the Lower Zambezi National Park due to compliance to conditions in the decision later issued by the Zambia Environmental Management Agency to the mine, MWEMBESHI Resources Limited says it has withdrawn all its workers from the mining site and has only left security guards to monitor the area. MWEMBESHI Resources Limited Corporate Affairs Manager Oliver Shalala, in an interview, says it is not the desire of the mine to deliberately ignore the law, but says it will comply with all directives to ensure the smooth operation of the mine.
Resources Limited received the cease order for operations in the Lower Zambezi, and immediately we received it, which was around 16 hours. We ceased operations on the same day. We have since withdrawn all the staff out of the national park, and we've only left essential workers like security and those that take care of installations. Remember, we have like boreholes there that have been drilled over the years for explorations and other things. So those facilities, they need people to be around to check. Yeah, so those are the only ones who remain. So we've ceased operations. There's no operation going on at the mine site. There's no operation going on the road.
Meanwhile, Mr. Shalala says about 46 million metric tons of copper has been detected at one of the 4 zones in the area, which the mine says will ensure that once operation commences, pollution is avoided at all costs.
6 million tons of copper ore at the Kangalui mine alone. The mine license has got 4 copper sites, which is Kangalui, there's Mbo, there's Kalulu, and there's what's the 4th one? There's Imbo. So those 4 have got a lot of resource. On the Kangalui site alone, after explorations which have gone on up to now, we are still doing explorations, we have been able to isolate 46 million tons of copper ore. Now that allows us to start, in the initial stages, we'll start with about 10,000 metric tons of processed copper per year, because we don't want to start with a very high volume, because we can make mistakes in terms of pollution. So once we've seen 10,000 is done, we've completed a year, everything is moved, we can then increase maybe to 20, 30, and so on until we are able to. Now, that 46 million tons gives us a lifespan for Kangalui of more than 25 years alone.
Meanwhile, Action Aid Interim Country Director for Zambia, Andrew Chikohure, says commercial mining activities in the Lower Zambezi, if not strategically managed, will cause permanent damage and extreme land degradation to the national park, thus exacerbating negative impact on the ecological system and causing more atrocities with regards to climate change and its effect on communities and livelihoods. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
United Party for National Development UPND National Deputy Youth Spokesperson Trevor Mwinde has challenged opposition political parties to provide alternatives to employment solutions for the youth aside from the formation of cooperatives and skills development funding under the current administration. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Mwinde notes that opposition political parties, among them the former ruling Patriotic Front PF, are in the forefront of claiming that there are no opportunities for the youth under the UPND without offering alternatives. Mr. Mwinde has charged that youths in Zambia currently have more employment opportunities under the UPND as they can tap into the private and public sectors.
We will be also looking forward from them, their experience, what they did not do well, that which the UPND can apply and do in a proper way. We are looking for a roadmap, we are looking for plans, we are looking for programs, and a national program that which the PF feels that which the UPND needs to embrace in order to unlock. It's not enough to say you can play football and you are warming up all the 90 minutes, and then when your time comes, as the time came for them, they jumped from one political party into the other political party, and they never advised the PF decisively that it was necessary to employ 30,000 teachers, to employ 11,000 health workers. But casualization was the order of the day. So we find it a little bit belittling and a little bit biased and a paradox and a fallacy of language and idea direction. We want to urge them. We want to also encourage them that the level of understanding is as variance in the country, and as such, we must be able to inject in ideas and the views that which are self-sustaining and programmed and staged at making Zambia a better country in terms of youth employment. We will not hide and duck. Where we are not doing well, we will accept. But we will also defend where people feel they can only talk every day.
Patriotic Front PF Chulubi Member of Parliament Mlenga Fube has urged the United Party for National Development UPND administration to consider giving public tertiary institutions a first lift by building modern infrastructure. Mr. Fube says this is one way of improving the quality of higher education in the country. The lawmaker notes that public institutions such as the University of Zambia, UNZA, currently has challenges such as water reticulation and overcrowded student hostels. He says the recent public pronouncements made for renovations to be undertaken in rooms that were occupied by current serving government officials, among them the president, do not give confidence, as there is need for large-scale renovations to cater for all students.
And this issue of wanting to ask ministers that was at UNZA, and including himself, to go and renovate that particular rooms where they were staying, leaving others, it's a discriminatory approach. It's against Constitution, because the Constitution states clearly. What of those other students who are not privileged to have occupied rooms of former students who are ministers now? We have a lot of hostels there that are not finished, which are supposed to be finished. And I think government being an ongoing concern, what I expected the president to talk about is to finish the hostels that are remaining. Currently, we have got a serious water problem at UNZA, University of Zambia, in all departments and all sectors. Whether you go to all schools and the like, even the hostels of the students, there is problem with water reticulation. I also expected the president to talk about when he's going to pay the contractors and the suppliers, unlike calling them corrupt and PF contractors and suppliers, because that will release more resources to the economy. Currently, the economy does not have liquidity, and the people that circulates internally the money is the contractors and the suppliers.
Citizens First Party President Harry KALABA has challenged the international community to show impartiality and speak out on alleged injustices under the current administration, in the same way they spoke out against what they termed as undemocratic practices during the former ruling Patriotic Front PF administration. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. KALABA says the country has witnessed a high number of arrests involving members of the former ruling PF, among others, while they have kept quiet. Mr. KALABA says that there is need for the international communities such as the American Embassy, the European Union and the British Embassy to speak out to show impartiality.
We have written, as Citizens First, we have written to the American Embassy, we have written to the European Union, we have written to the British Embassy. We have complained about the undemocratic tendencies that the UPND is employing in dealing with us in the opposition. We have also complained about the silence of the embassies. You'll recall that we had a press briefing here, at which press briefing we lamented heavily on the silence of these international and cooperating partners, especially the embassies. And so we want them to tell us, because there are so many breaches that are happening in this country, and yet they have grown silent. So we are not even seeking sympathy. We are only telling them that do what is contained within the Vienna Convention. That is, your interest must not be UPND. Your interest must be the people of Zambia and Zambia as a whole.
The Opposition Leadership Movement Party has urged the ruling United Party for National Development to develop a bottom-up approach of leadership which ensures that basic needs of Zambians are prioritized. Addressing the media Saturday, Party Secretary General Jairus Ngoma says the various efforts of the UPND are not being appreciated as much as the government would expect, because they have no direct result in lowering the cost of living. Mr. Ngoma notes that while there are good policies under the current administration, such as free education, citizens will only truly appreciate the government if they can access basic commodities at a cheaper price, as well as access employment in various sectors aside from cooperatives. We have details in this report.
On its quest to offer alternative policies to the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, the Leadership Movement Party held its weekly press briefings, with Saturday's theme being the 6 months of the UPND in 2023. On hand addressing the media were Party Secretary General Jairus Ngoma, Deputy Secretary General Chalwe Chandala, and Information and Publicity Secretary Jason Mwanza. The Party Secretary General has stressed the need for the UPND to come up with policies that would directly impact citizens through lowering the cost of living and creating numerous employment opportunities. He states that one way of doing this is by lowering the cost of production through providing affordable electricity and fuel energy.
So what we are telling the Zambian people out there, the Energy Regulation Board, they need to advise the New Dawn to say, let's go where Russia is going. I mean, let's go where India is going. Let's go where China is going, where Brazil is going. Once we go that route, our economy is going to be worked on. Even the aspect of where now these graphs are being brought on board, because when people have eaten, their tempers are manageable. They don't become hyper. But in the context of hunger, kulibe muntu anga nkale kulibe chakudya. That's why lero is a tilimbikira pali chakudya.
Meanwhile, Party Deputy Secretary General Chalwe Chandala also gave alternatives to the current administration.
Taken under the lower Zambezi mining, where the operations were outed because we saw where an investor started mining in lower Zambezi, and we as leadership movement, we have been here on our secretariat, I think, telling the New Dawn government, advising the New Dawn government to ensure that they revoke the license for MWEMBESHI mining, who want to do mining in lower Zambezi. We need to protect nature, and we are crying about climate change, and it's the time the New Dawn government shown responsibility. So the action taken by the Minister of Green Economy, Mr. Collins Njovu, I think it's a welcome move. What we want now is the license to be revoked.
Meanwhile, Party IPS Jason Mwanza says there is need for the current administration to put up policies whose funding will outlive their stay in office.
Meal allowances for students. Those meal allowances are not sustainable because they have failed to point out where that money is coming from and whether it would be there even in the next 50 years to come. As Leadership Movement Party, we have always been saying, if you are not making money locally, then that is a danger to the country. You need to start going the route of local solutions. You need to go the route of homegrown solutions. We have got land that can be tilted. We've got land where we can put up massive agriculture. So engage young people in agriculture, engage young people, in state mining, engage young people in state factories.
The party says it will continue offering alternatives to the current administration as requested by the head of state. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Mbabala Constituency Member of Parliament Joseph Monsanje has handed over donations comprising of clothing, blankets, tailoring materials and bicycles to the people of his constituency, which were donated by the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema through the Chairman General and the party advisor to the President William Banda. Mr. Monsanje says the President cares for the people of Mbabala, hence donating the items to them. The lawmaker has assured his people of massive development through the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, which he says has been increased to 28.3 million kwacha under the UPND administration.
Mr. Chairman, and we are handing over a bill of these comforters or blankets to the ward chairman to distribute it. I think you are together with your ward officials to distribute it to your people in the ward, the vulnerable. Yeah, and the councillor is here also, so you all have a chance to speak.
Indi ibuyo hintu twahibona yaretaba MP no potubede turaba secretary bawadi aba councillor mo officials ma committee members then aba youth chairman ba constituency so tulibanjanji ibuyo hintu twahibona ba delega mbugwenderana amulawo na mizezo njoba ambawula ba MP beso yakuti tugwashe bapengedde
bagwashe bantu bapengedde so abo base bo turakirira muzezo wabo wagwamba kuti bagwashe bapengedde ase turajata amanzo birega botoka boto
na moto arayi baburi bahanga
nachato biro manza kutebe
gurumba turajata manzo bire gurumba munkamu ya UPN
poteti impe panjireno banga sununa tete yabani mothirisu
juni
3 June. Enonkaga ndeganda pati. Wije wauti mulibule robo bubedu wabota ute watu gwashe baba pengede. So twabarumba maninga amanzo obire. Aba yagombere gabagwa hiri.
We break for some commercials. We'll be right back with more news.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, chew me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
On National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest.
And the people that have got the passion and desire are equipped with something. They shouldn't be doing mining like Valeri Makandolo. You know, those people have got the capacity to turn around our economy. These same people that we look down on. We don't have to always be rushing for investors.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come. You lift one hand and I'll lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. In the name of the Lord Jesus, today God will remove every form of iniquity, every ounce of iniquity that has been around you. Then I said, behold, I have come to do your will, O God, to fulfill what is written of me. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I. Your great and mighty power, the heavens declare. Your great and mighty power, you're greater than the greatest, you're mightier than the mightiest, you're stronger than the strongest, better than the best.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development has expressed concern that the country has continued to witness an escalation of gender-based violence cases being recorded by Zambia Police Service, with the just ended quarter recording 10,797 cases. Organization National Coordinator Nelson Banda says despite the provision of the law being clear about the setting up of shelters and establishment of the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Fund, successive governments have ignored this important provision of the law. Mr. Banda has therefore demanded that government establishes shelters for survivors of gender-based violence as a requirement by the Anti-GBV Act of 2011. He says some of the GBV survivors who are part of the statistics require shelters where they can be provided with protection and counseling to recover from the trauma of violence.
Since the enactment of the Anti-GBV Act of 2011, there hasn't been commitments on the part of government to establish certain provisions of that law, and this includes the setting up of the GBV fund and the shelters for the survivors. So we are demanding that the government should set up these two situations or facilities as a matter of urgency, because cases of GBV are increasing every day as shared by the Zambia Police Service. And this is enough evidence for the government to initiate the construction of the shelters and setting up the fund.
Cotton Association of Zambia CAS director has called for the repeal of the Cotton Act in a bid to allow farmers benefits from the enterprise. Speaking during the stakeholders meeting in Kabu yesterday, Cotton Association of Zambia Executive Director Johnny Ngwenyama says the prolonged review of the Cotton Act of 2005 is detrimental to the cotton industry as the current conditions do not benefit farmers. Mr. Ngwenyama has bemoaned the lack of transparency in cotton seeds pricing, as well as the certified cotton chemicals and the seeds. And government has called on the Cotton Association to work with the Ministry of Agriculture closely if meaningful development was to be seen. Details are in this report by Nais.
Across Zambia, cotton is a key source of income for more than 300,000 smallholder farmers. As one of the few cash crops grown in the country, cotton means money for school fees, food, fertilizer, and indeed other household necessities. It is also an important source of income for the investors. In order to benefit both investors and the farmers, the Cotton Association of Zambia is calling for a review of the Cotton Act of 2005.
Reviewing of the Cotton Act of 2005, we have to do that, because when the Cotton Act was being enacted, or the ones that drafted the current Cotton Act are the Chinas, and what they included in there is things that favors them. That is more reason why today Cotton Association of Zambia cannot negotiate or discuss the price, because we are not recognized in the law.
And government is calling for enhanced collaboration between the Cotton Association of Zambia and the Ministry of Agriculture.
It is pitting, you feel as if you are mourning when you see how farmers are treated, especially in Mumba. Farmers will get a seed, they are not told what is the price of the seed, the total package. They are just told the price is fixed, it's dictated. Do you expect a farmer to go out there and grow the cotton? The answer is no. Look, farmers are dropping cotton and coming to soybeans, but cotton is highly profitable. So, get back, Cotton Association of Zambia, get back to the Ministry of Agriculture, revamp, relook at the act that you have said, yes, we will also support you. Relook at China Ginnery, Mumba Ginnery, if it's not functional. So the Ministry of Agriculture, stakeholders can come in and revamp that machinery. It starts being functional fully.
Meanwhile, cotton farmers are calling for a better selling price of at least 10 kwacha per kilogram.
We are just hearing the price of cotton is 6 kwacha per kg. But the farmers now are really suffering. And then if you want change, the farmers, the cotton industry will go down. At least minimum 10 quarters to the price. Because when you look the things how they're changing at the market and the economic status, yes, 10 quarters will be fair.
Helen Witty reporting from Kabwe, Central Province.
Refunza District Commissioner Richard Mabena has called on subsistence farmers in the area to take farming as a business venture, especially now that government has increased the maize buying price. Speaking at the Refunza Agriculture Block Show held at Jika under the theme Inclusive Economic Transformation, Mr. Mabena said government is fully committed to ensuring that farmers take farming as a business, and the increase of the maize buying price from 180 kwacha to 280 kwacha is an indication of showing its commitment. He says agriculture is the backbone of many economies, as it is a critical sector that provides to the economic growth of many countries around the world. Details are in this report.
Showcase their products, and they have thanked government for the increased maize price, and some have this to say on the theme.
Economic transformation kutantauza kuti chitukuko ngati tufuna kuti chitukuko chitike kuno kumalo kwatu kapena mziko latu lonse la Zambia. Tizafunika kukhala abantu osanka ayi. Tizafunika kulowesa muntu aliyense, mutundu uli wonse, age ili yonse, whether ni olemala, ni munyamata, ni mpofu, ni nkhalamba, azafunika kuti agwepo kwambiri. Popeza kumuyoko kamtengo kanali kokosikako. So pano mtengo wa chimanga chatu kapena mbewu ya milisi wakwerako apatia mikira kwambiri. Ndiponso chioneka kuti chino chaka this coming season mulimi wambiri azaonjezera mbewu yake ya milisi popeza kuti kamtengo kakwera poyambire pano
vinkhale na phindu ku ulimi watu.
In short, it means digital transform from one level to another. Tinaona kuti mulimi wetu chita umu na mabasket yetu gulisa na mene haya ni ulimi na weve huyo, because tutenga vamsanga divichita process na kupanga tiamba kugulisa tipanga business mukupanga mene umutingale mbeko.
Other farmers who are not into maize production have appealed to government to consider buying other products such as soybeans.
The thing that we are sad of is that the government this year is not buying soya. Every time, what I've seen is the price of the government has been the measuring stick for the prices of a private buyer. Every time a private buyer once waits upon the government to announce its floor price, thereafter, that's when the private buyer will adjust himself. Now in this case that the government is not buying soya this year, us who have soya, we are going to be exploited.
Refunza District Commissioner Richard Mabena has called on the farmers to take farming as a business.
The new Dawn government, under the perfect leadership of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, want to see farming to run as a business. That's the reason why this year the price of maize has been pegged at 280 kwacha.
Youths who have benefited from the Constituency Development Fund Skills Training Sponsor, who were also showcasing what they are learning, have expressed gratitude to government.
On behalf of my youth, I would like to thank the New Dawn government for introducing this bursary, because I'm under CDF in my first year, and I would like to urge all the youths out there to take up this opportunity. These are survival courses.
Agro dealers are also at hand to showcase their products in line with the theme. Reporting in Refunza District, I am Msekiwa Ntembe.
We go on our last break. We'll be right back with the rest of the stories.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
On National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest.
And the people that have got the passion and desire are equipped with something. They shouldn't be doing mining like DELIMITATION. You know, those people have got the capacity to turn around our economy. These same people that we look down on. We don't have to always be rushing for investors.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a dent with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come. You lift one hand and I'll lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. In the name of the Lord Jesus, today God will remove every form of iniquity, every ounce of iniquity that has been around you. Then I said, behold, I have come to do your will, oh God, to fulfill what is written of me. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I. Your great and mighty power, the heavens declare. Your great and mighty power, you're greater than the greatest, you're mightier than the mightiest, you're stronger than the strongest, better than the best.
Welcome back. In international news, at least 280 people have been killed after 3 trains were involved in a horrific crash in the eastern Indian state of Odisha as rescuers raced against time to pull survivors from the wreckage, according to officials. The accident happened on Friday in Odisha State, Balasore district. India's deadliest rail incident in nearly 20 years also left an estimated 900 people injured. In other international stories, Nigeria's main labor union, the Nigerian Labour Congress, has said it plans to go on strike from Wednesday to protest against a hike of fuel prices in what would be the first big test for the West African nation's new President Bola Ahmed Tinubu after he scrapped a costly fuel subsidy. Here is a roundup of international news.
Nigeria's main labor union has said it plans to go on strike from Wednesday to protest against the tripling of fuel prices in what would be the first big test for new President Bola Tinubu after he scrapped a costly fuel subsidy. The price increase has led to a sharp rise in transport fares.
NNPC, a private limited liability company that illegally announced a price regime in the oil sector, refuses to revert itself for negotiation to continue, that the Nigerian Labour Congress and all its affiliates will withdraw their services and commence protests nationwide.
The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, after an emergency meeting of the union's executive in the capital, Abuja, said all its affiliates will withdraw their services and commence protests nationwide.
That until a government is properly constituted and the people who will negotiate with Labour are such people with mandate and capacity to commit the government of the day, such negotiations may not be valid wherever.
Nigeria's fuel subsidy cost the government billions of dollars annually, but was popular as it helped keep prices low. The government says lifting the subsidy will help it alleviate a funding crisis.
A mangled mess of carriages and bodies. Rescue teams scour the wreckage of what has become one of India's worst train disasters.
10 to 15 people fell on top of me. I was at the bottom of the pile of people. I hurt my arm and neck. Then when I got out of the train, I saw someone had lost their hand and another person had lost their leg.
फिर ऑटोमेटिक मेरा नींद जाग गया फिर देखा
I woke up and heard a loud bang and the train was derailed. I was lying on the top bunk bed of the train and held on to the fan. When the train stopped, then I was able to get out.
The accident happened when a passenger train derailed and collided with a freight train on a nearby track. Minutes later, another passenger train rammed into the wreckage. Teams of rescuers rushed to the scene but were overwhelmed by the scale of the disaster, with large numbers of people feared trapped in the overturned coaches.
All the focus is right now on rescue operations. We are trying to ensure those who have suffered critical injuries should be moved to the hospitals for treatment and their relatives be informed of their well-being. All the focus is on that.
The first derailed train was the Coromandel Express, a fast service running from Kolkata to Chennai. It's still unclear why it came off the tracks at Balasore in India's eastern Odisha state.
A high-level committee has been formed to look into this incident. The Rail Safety Commissioner will also do an inquiry, and they will go and find the root cause of this accident. Why did this happen? All the technical details would be found out by them.
The country's seen a catalogue of major crashes on its sprawling 65,000-kilometre network in recent decades. Despite government efforts to improve safety, accidents are frequent, but not at this scale.
The United Nations Security Council has extended for 6 months the UN political mission in Sudan after UN envoy Volker Perthes was accused by Sudan's army of stoking the worsening civil conflict.
Let me in particular underline the UK support for the work of SRSG, Volker Perthes and the UNITAM's team. The situation in Sudan remains of significant concern, in particular regarding the humanitarian needs of Sudan's population. This renewal underlines that the UN will continue to support their demands for peace and democracy. This 6-month rollover will also provide the necessary time for the Security Council to assess the impact of the developing context on UNITAM's ability to fulfill its vital mandate.
The resolution calls on the Secretary General to continue to report on the mission every 3 months. Before the outbreak of the violence in April, Sudan's leaders were set to sign a deal to return the country to its democratic transition, but the accord was delayed because of outstanding disagreements.
That's it in international news. Time now for sports news. LUMWANA Radiance, NCHANGA Rangers, BUILDCON and CHAMBISHI football clubs have been relegated from the MTN Super League after being bottom of the table at the close of the season, which ended Saturday 3rd June 2023. NCHANGA Rangers in a tournament played Saturday drew with Kawe Warriors 1 goal each, while LUMWANA Rangers lost to FC Muza by 1 goal to 2. BUILDCON, on the other hand, lost to CHAMBISHI by 4 goals to 2, while Nkwazi defeated Green Eagles by 1 goal to 0 but could not make it to the top of the table. Power Dynamos, however, the MTN Super League 2023 champion, and Secretary to the Cabinet Patrick Kangwa, Ministry of Sports Permanent Secretary Kangwa Chileshe, FAS President Andrew Kamanga, FAS General Secretary Ruben Kamanga and Chipolo Polo coach Avram Grant were among those who witnessed the tournaments. Well, congratulations to Power Dynamos, and on that sporting item we wrap up the main news. Let's now look at the headlines once again. MWEMBESHI Resources Limited withdraws human resource in the lower Zambezi. Chief MUYOMBE of MAFINGA district calls for delimitation of constituencies. KALABA challenges the international community to speak out on alleged injustices. In international headlines, Nigeria's main labor union to go on strike over government's removal of fuel subsidy. LUMWANA Radiance, NCHANGA Rangers, BUILDCON and CHAMBISHI football clubs relegated from the MTN Super League. We now look at the Camnet verse for today, coming from Psalms 67, verse 1 to 3. It reads, "May God be merciful and bless us. May his face smile with favor on us." Interlude, "May your May your ways be known throughout the earth, your saving power among people everywhere. May the nations praise you. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production and news crew, my name is Louisia Nalupumbwe. Bye for now. God bless. Good night.